law, we have what they call international GAAP. The international GAAP used to be dictated by the International Accounting Standards Board, the equivalent of the U.S. FASB, Financial Accounting Statements Standards Board. And so from that perspective, now they're trying to converge U.S. GAAP and international GAAP via a new entity called the International Financial Reporting Standards Board as well. We have in the U.S. what we call SFSA, Statements of Financial Accounting Standards. Sometimes we just abbreviate that and say FASB and put a number behind it. Technically, it should be SFAS and then a number behind that, but FASB for short. FIN, F-I-N, is a FASB interpretation. So they are trying to clarify a specific statement or specific pronouncement that they made in the past. Principles of accounting, as we talked about previously already. The major principle is the accrual concept of accounting, which we talked about already. In that case, you want to recognize the revenue and expenses at the time of occurrence rather at the cash payment / receipt. In other words, recognizes at the time of occurrence as opposed to when you physically receive the cash. This way, you move away or you get away from the possibility that companies will try to time their cash flows to report and to show prepayments or deferrals or whatnot. So we say, you know what? At the time when it is earned, that's key, earned. Now, the matching principle, as we said, match the expenses with the revenues in the time period used to generate that revenue. The three major financial statements, and there are 5 in total, which we will cover. The income statement, it's simply a statement of income. This is a period of time. Simply said, in this period of time, whether it's quarterly or annual or whatnot, you want to list all the revenues and expenses that you have incurred or generated during that time period. The balance sheet, also known as a statement of financial condition, reports the specific financial position, the assets as well as the liabilities, and the difference is simply the equity that the company owns. The balance sheet must always balance the balance equation is assets equal liability plus equity, as we already spoke about. Cash flow statement is the last of the 3rd major financial statements. It reconciles all the change in cash over a period of time. Folks, keep that in mind. The balance sheet is a specific point in time, one specific date. Cash flow statement is categorized into 3 separate sections: the operating, investing, and the financing activities. And here,
now, if you're following my man Han, balance sheets, income statement, and cash flow statements, these are the holy trinity when it comes to accounting. A lot of you guys should be at the point of no return with this information. Before we begin, let's break it down. This is compliance officer training. This training is being recorded for training purposes and will be redisseminated through the various different platforms at a designated date and time. For those of you that will be using this content in the Bank in the Box platform, I encourage you while you're in class today to go ahead and arm your cockpit algorithm with at least one of the 16 different Chat GPT plugins to be able to really effectively draw the asymmetric information forward and use it in real time. For all those that are not in the Bank in the Box platform, you will still be able to get the same effect if you listen long enough, because you will learn something. Balance sheets, income statements, and cash flow statements. These things help determine net asset value. This actually determines revenue recognition. Early on in your study, I told you to study your accounting manual because in the first at least 20 pages, it at least gave you a foundation. Now, by this time, you should be at least 10 chapters into your manual by now. And again, I'm not going to put nobody on the spot, but this is where we're coming from. Now, understanding that revenue must be recognized depends upon when you can recognize it. Let's say you're going to be taxed heavily, and the revenue, if you recognize it, could cause a tax liability, where there's loopholes inside of the tax code which will allow you to recognize things after the fact, so they're not really called profit. Then there's other ways where, because you haven't earned it yet, but you still need it on a balance sheet for lending purposes, you can utilize earned revenue. And all these things fall up under revenue recognition, which relies heavily upon the validity and authenticity of the income statement, balance sheet, and cash flow statements. We talk to compliance officers about a particular cash flow statement, which is referred to as the DCF model, which stands for discount cash flow model. If you have a perfected discount cash flow model, in my opinion, with a proper net asset value, you should be able to utilize LBOs simply off of a 10% threshold. Which, as long as you keep the debt payments under 10% of disposable income, you can actually absorb liabilities and assets on your book and be able to leverage them through hedging accounting. And FASB does allow for this. This is why one of the provisions in current expected credit loss provisions is that if you at least list your losses, they'll be considered allowances for doubtful accounts, and those losses will allow you to appreciate your book by receiving a double credit for every loss that you report. Now, you should already know that because this is where we're at in the compliance officer training aspect of it. Now, today's subject matter is going to be one that's going to kind of touch into a lot of different spaces. But I ain't going to say a whole lot in today's training because I think I done said too much. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to let the AI teach the class, and I'm just going to narrate from time to time and see if you got questions. Because that way, I won't go too far into what I have no reason going too far in. And then if you are asking certain questions, we can definitely elaborate. Now, understanding that today's compliance officer training course is dealing with the understanding of financial corrections and commercial actions, I am going to give you an entire itinerary of information that's going to help you with that. But you want to be forthcoming. So this is like an open book test, and I'm telling you that ChatGPT is your companion of choice to help you answer the necessary questions and design a chain of thought that is applicable to getting to action. Now, we can speculate all day, but when I speculate, I'm leaning on basically your interpretation of what you're absorbing in this information. Now, if we're going to do that today, which I got no problem, I at least need to establish some ground rules. So just bear with me while we prep the class to be able to explore this phenomenon. The first thing we're going to have to get an understanding of is understanding bills of exchanges. Keep listening, because if you listen long enough, you'll learn something.
Understanding international bills of exchange and promissory notes. Negotiable instruments, such as international bills of exchange and promissory notes, have a rich history and play a crucial role in facilitating international trade and commerce. In this comprehensive guide, we will delve into the world of negotiable instruments, focusing specifically on international bills of exchange and promissory notes. We will explore their legal foundation, scope, form, and the process of creating these instruments. By understanding the principles and requirements outlined in the United Nations Convention on International Bills of Exchange and International Promissory Notes, individuals and organizations can confidently engage in secure financial transactions. The law and its origins. To understand international bills of exchange and promissory notes, it is essential to grasp their legal foundation. The law governing these instruments draws upon a common source known as the law merchant. This body of rules, which has evolved over thousands of years, governs the interactions between merchants. To provide a unified approach to commercial transactions globally, legal frameworks such as the United Nations Convention on International Bills of Exchange and International Promissory Notes and the UCC Article 3 were adopted. Scope and form of international bills of exchange. The United Nations Convention on International Bills of Exchange and International Promissory Notes outlines the scope and form requirements for international bills of exchange. According to Article 1, an instrument must contain the heading International Bill of Exchange and include the phrase United Nations Convention on International Bills of Exchange in both the heading and the body of the document. Additionally, Article 2 specifies that the instrument must specify at least two places located in different states, such as the place of drawing, the signature of the drawer, the name of the drawee, the name of the payee, or the place of payment. Creating an international bill of exchange. To create an international bill of exchange, certain steps must be followed. Adding the required text, the instrument must contain the heading International Bill of Exchange and mention the United Nations Convention on International Bills of Exchange both in the heading and within the body of the document. This text establishes the instrument's classification as an international bill of exchange. Specifying places, at least 2 specified places must be indicated, each located in a different state. These specified places include the place of drawing, the signature of the drawer, the name of the drawee, the name of the payee, or the place of payment. By specifying these places, the instrument emphasizes its international nature. Understanding the significance of international bills of exchange and promissory notes. International bills of exchange and promissory notes hold great importance in securing various objectives within a community. They operate within the framework of international law, which extends beyond the boundaries of any single state. By adhering to the principles outlined in conventions such as the United Nations Convention on International Bills of Exchange and International Promissory Notes, individuals and organizations can effectively create and utilize these instruments. These instruments provide a reliable and efficient means of conducting secure and internationally recognized financial transactions. Understanding the use of negotiable instruments, a comprehensive guide. Negotiable instruments serve as a crucial means of exchange and secure payment in financial transactions. In this comprehensive guide, we will explore the world of negotiable instruments, including private issues, international bills of exchange, and the principles underlying their use. By understanding the elements, obligations, and applications of negotiable instruments, individuals can navigate financial transactions effectively and leverage their benefits. Private issues, creating negotiable instruments. Private issues are negotiable instruments created by individuals or entities for specific purposes. Registering these instruments is essential to establish their authenticity and enable tracking and verification. Key elements of a private issue include clearly indicating its nature as a private issue, an unconditional order to pay, and the drawer's signature. Understanding international bills of exchange. International bills of exchange play a vital role in facilitating global transactions. The United Nations Convention on International Bills of Exchange provides guidelines for their creation and interpretation. Important terms to understand include the definition of a bill, a promissory note, the roles of the drawer and payee, and the international character and uniformity of these instruments. Protected holders and good faith. Protected holders enjoy legal protections when it comes to negotiable instruments. To qualify as a protected holder, certain requirements must be met, such as taking possession of a complete or properly completed instrument and lacking knowledge of defenses or dishonor. Acting in good faith is fundamental in negotiable instrument transactions, ensuring transparency, honesty, and compliance with established rules. Understanding the principles of negotiable instruments. Negotiable instruments operate based on key principles and concepts. Liability and presentment are crucial aspects, ensuring that parties involved are accountable for their obligations. Proper presentment and notice establish the validity of the instrument and inform relevant parties. Interpreting formal requirements, such as definite sums and knowledge, helps ensure clarity and accountability in negotiable instrument transactions. Understanding guarantors in negotiable instruments. Guarantors play a significant role in negotiable instrument transactions, guaranteeing payment on behalf of a party or drawee. They have obligations to assure payment, accept liability, and provide guarantees. Relevant articles, such as Article 46, Payment Guarantee, and Article 47, Aval of an Instrument, provide guidance on the specific provisions related to guarantees. By understanding these principles and components of negotiable instruments, individuals can effectively navigate financial transactions, exchange value, and guarantee payment with clarity and confidence.
All right. Hopefully you guys learned something from that presentation. Now what I would like to do as a refresher from yesterday's course is actually show you a bill of exchange. So we open up the share. Share is being opened. And you should see the actual bill of exchange on my screen. Starts out with the title statement of account, has the bill of exchange. This is a documentary draft. And based upon what you just heard in that particular presentation, it's going to have the basic information available and necessary to make sure that this is treated properly. And as I scroll down this particular documentary draft, you're looking at a bill of exchange that's actually for the reason for set-off payment or exchange. And so we now come to the public treasury individual banking routing information. And we're coming to the actual specimen itself. This specimen itself is actually orchestrated in a certain capacity. There is some verbiage here that should actually put it in compliance in that regard. Now we're coming to the actual instrument itself. And this is one that I encouraged everyone in class yesterday to get focused on using as one that you will use in the DTCC system. And there's another one that you can use for the DTC system. Now, as we're looking at this particular specimen, this is the one that we prefer using with the DTCC. Based upon what you just listened to, what else could one add to this particular bill of exchange to make it that much more transparent? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to unmute the line, so therefore everybody will basically have the ability to mute themselves. I noticed there was a lot of background noise in yesterday's recording, so I would ask that if you're not going to ask a question, then keep yourself muted and give those that do want to answer questions an opportunity to answer it without the sound being all over the place. But I'm going to take everybody out of the actual, I'm going to unmute everyone and give everybody a chance to definitely answer. Question is, looking at that bill of exchange that's on your screen,
so the credits
what else would you add to that to make it that much more applicable?
Go and turn it around and
All
do
right.
it.
Can you see it?
Damn, dog. I thought it was a dog. This is what it looked like through the DTC, which is
okay. I'm getting a lot of background noise, so let me just put it back on mute. And if you can answer the question, what else would you add to this bill of exchange, then please respond by pressing 9-4 on your keypad. Press 9-4 on your keypad. I'll bring you in individually to answer that question. The question is, looking at this bill of exchange, what else would you add to this bill of exchange to make it that much more transparent? Anyone want to take a stab at that? Okay, we got somebody here. Okay, let me bring them in. So we got someone who wants to answer the question. So let's bring them on. Mr. Bay.
Okay.
All right, talk to me.
I would say from what I was heard, make it international.
Okay, so you would put another place on there where you would list it as being an international bill of exchange.
National bill of exchange, yeah.
Sort of like what you're seeing right here at the bottom where it says this is an American international bill of exchange.
Okay, that's already in there. Okay. I was looking at the top.
Right. So you're thinking right. So at the top, you could probably maybe just add another line at the heading. Okay. At the top of this one, right where it says American Estate Banking. I was kind of thinking the same thing. I would probably maybe add, if I want to make it that much more transparent, I would put International Bill of Exchange on top of the heading, but it already has it there. You follow me?
Yeah.
Right. Right. Anything else that you can see that you would want to enhance this particular instrument with?
Well, it said, okay, now I got drawer. Let me see. Pay to the order of, let me see, place of drawing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what cause
It seems to be pretty. You're saying it seems to be pretty thorough, like it has all of the proponents to make it negotiable, right?
Right, to make it negotiable now would be the right information, like your information, you know.
Right. But it has all the proponents to definitely be tendered properly.
Right.
All right. Now remember, this is the one for the DTCC. So now I'm gonna come on down to the one that I encouraged you in yesterday's class to use for the DTC. Now, what might you add to this particular one to make it a little bit more transparent and negotiable?
I mean, of course, like we discussed yesterday, definitely make it correspond to where you actually are.
Right.
To the order of, it just says bill of exchange.
Mm-hmm. So you would probably just add on the top of this, or maybe an additional heading that says International Bill of Exchange.
Right. Oh, and I would add though, the convention. What's that? With the I just heard him say it. Or it just
the Hague Convention, right?
The Hague Convention, and then it was the
UNITRAIL Convention as well.
Right.
Right. This is why and what I try to do just to show you that, right here with the logo at, this is the Hague Convention, and it's under that conference. That's why I included that in that regard. But I would probably, you're right. These are additional things. So I'm demonstrating this to show that everything has room for improvement and further interpretation if you understand the parameters.
Right. No.
This is why I don't want anybody to just fall in love with
what they
just
see.
One way of doing it. You got to know the fundamentals so you know.
You make it your own sauce.
Right.
Right. As long as you know what you're doing and what it's supposed to be.
Right. Because that's going to be key. Knowing how it's supposed to be used from a fundamental perspective makes it easy for you to create whatever you need in commerce. So that's a good example. And again, this is what we train civil law notaries to kind of get in the groove of. Now, as you learn more, you'll do more and you'll develop more. And there's definitely room for all of the above. But these are what we're considered in our training as fundamental instruments, is what we'll call them for training purposes. Fundamental instruments.
Fundamental instruments, yes.
All right. Now, with that being said, I'm going to stop the share at this point. And now I want you to continue to listen, because if you listen long enough, you definitely will learn something. And I want to bring you to another proponent of understanding the financial correctness and being able to understand the power of it in commerce.
Understanding the commercial game, navigating the dynamics of creditors and debtors. Introduction. This article explores the intricate dynamics of the commercial game, where players assume the roles of creditors and debtors. By understanding the underlying principles of this game, individuals can navigate the complexities of the financial landscape with greater clarity and purpose. Trusteeship, a key element in prisons and society. Trusteeship is a concept deeply ingrained in both literal prisons and the broader societal context. Understanding the significance of trusteeship can shed light on the privileges and responsibilities it entails. Key points to consider include privileges of trustees. In prison, trustees are granted certain privileges, allowing them to move and shape their environment. This concept extends beyond prisons, with society often training individuals in trusteeship without their realization. Seeking creditor status. Attaining the status of a creditor in the commercial game requires individuals to embrace the responsibilities associated with trusteeship and actively contribute to their financial journey. Recognizing the parallels between trusteeship in prisons and society empowers individuals to make conscious choices and shape their financial destinies. Leveraging compliance officer status for financial freedom. As compliance officers, individuals possess a unique set of skills and knowledge that can contribute to their financial liberation. By capitalizing on their status, individuals can navigate the commercial landscape more effectively. Key insights include utilizing arbitration for clarity, leveraging arbitration to resolve disputes and bring clarity to financial transactions helps individuals maintain control and assert their rights. Embracing AI technology, incorporating AI tools, website interfaces, and CRM systems streamlines operations and enhances efficiency in serving clients. Embracing the role of a compliance officer and leveraging the associated resources empowers individuals to correct financial records and create their own storehouses of wealth. Embracing substantive transactions, moving beyond surface-level interactions. Substantive transactions prioritize the intrinsic value and essence of an object, surpassing superficial considerations. By engaging in substantive transactions, individuals can foster authenticity and integrity in their financial dealings. Key points to consider include substance over form. Substantive transactions shift the focus from surface-level appearances to the underlying value and rules governing an object. Alignment with authenticity. Conducting substantive transactions allows individuals to align their actions with their true intentions, promoting financial autonomy and empowerment. By embracing substantive transactions, individuals can break free from the constraints of superficial norms and build a solid foundation for their financial journey. Arbitration, unveiling clarity in financial processes. Arbitration serves as a powerful tool to resolve disputes and bring clarity to financial processes. By embracing arbitration, individuals can gain a better understanding of their rights and obligations. Key considerations include harnessing the power of arbitration. Utilizing arbitration as a means of conflict resolution allows individuals to bypass traditional legal systems and find resolution through a mutually agreed-upon process. Establishing contracts through arbitration. The use of arbitration enables individuals to engage in contractual agreements that ensure fairness and transparency in financial dealings. Embracing arbitration empowers individuals to find resolution and maintain control over their financial affairs, providing a pathway to financial liberation. Breaking free from conformity, paving the way for financial autonomy. Conformity can act as a significant barrier to financial freedom. By challenging societal norms and embracing a different mindset, individuals can pave the way for financial autonomy. Key insights include shifting perspectives, encouraging individuals to pursue careers in fields such as engineering and science rather than conforming to societal pressures. Embracing personal power, recognizing one's own potential and power enables individuals to break free from the confines of societal expectations. By embracing financial autonomy and challenging conformity, individuals can redefine their relationship with money and create a pathway to true wealth and fulfillment. Conclusion: charting your path to financial freedom. Understanding the dynamics of the commercial game and the role of creditors and debtors empowers individuals to navigate the financial landscape with clarity and purpose. By embracing trusteeship, leveraging compliance officer status, engaging in substantive transactions, utilizing arbitration, and breaking free from conformity, individuals can pave their path to financial freedom. It is through conscious choices, financial literacy, and the willingness to challenge societal norms that individuals can unlock their full potential and achieve lasting prosperity.
Now, hopefully you guys are learning the power of leveraging through arbitration. Hopefully you guys are learning the power of understanding the ability to operate within a construct of the security settlement system that's in place that deals with international bills of exchange as a deterrent for public debt and public obligations. Hopefully you understand that the entire construct is operating within a clog, within a wheel that's rotating in a direction. And your ability to operate within that construct is essential to preserving the integrity of one's estate. I would not be a good mentor if I would not forewarn you of the upcoming perils as well as rewards for what's coming in the next 90 days. The United States government has launched a FedNow security settlement system to govern those that do not want to do what you guys are doing. They rather sit around and complain about how bad things are, but when forced to take responsibility for one's own action commercially, it's always, in their eyes, going to be someone else's baby to rock. So with that being the actual paradigm shift, these are exciting times to be alive. And for those of you that have taken the opportunity to become compliance officers, there is a lot of work to be done. There's going to be more and more advancements with this newfound technology that they are calling ChatGPT. My job is to prepare you to use these tools to help you advance in what you've already have learned. These tools are not to make you obsolete. These tools are to make you elite. These tools are designed to give you the cutting-edge learning apparatus in a data set that you can monitor and control. I've asked certain individuals who participated in class that if you were attending in this particular space to make sure that you came to class with your ChatGPT intact. Because there are things that I am saying. There are things that you have already heard. There is audio that is being dispersed that is riddled with asymmetric information. And if you are listening, you can simply use your AI technology to bring forth what's hidden in plain sight. If you see that there's a debtor involved inside of a commercial transaction, you have to know that a creditor exists. Even though you may not initially see the creditor, if you see one, you have to know that the other exists. You have to know how to implement between the two between the two parties in that regard. In other words, arbitration brings forth an opportunity to level that playing field and provide a mechanism that for those that are in arbitration they can simply use to perfect. In the aspect of applicability, a lot of individuals would need to really take what we've covered in the last 6 months and go back, especially if you've acquired materials such as textbooks and manuals in particular studies, and use these tools to break these things down into a comprehensive outline, and then redirect that outline and interdate that outline into your modern day process. For example, it would be to your advantage that if you have already acquired a UCC workbook and you understand that letters of credit operate under Article 5, then it will be to your advantage to learn certain UCC Article 5 codes and apply those codes when it comes to M3 conveyances and disbursements. The saying is, if you do that, you just might learn something. Here's another one. I'm harp over accounting. Now I'm finna give you something that you should be able to use. So for those of you that are in class with your ChatGPT, I am going to share with you a form, and I want you to ask your unit or your chat GPT to give you a detailed outline of this form. The form that we're talking about is the IRS Form 990-PF. If you have access to chat GPT, it is your opportunity now to ask chat GPT to give you a detailed outline of Form 990-PF. Matter of fact, I'm not just going to tell you to do that. I'm going to do that as well. Remember, if you listen and look long enough, you'll learn something. So let's do this, shall we? We'll go to prompt my chat here. Don't worry, I know you can't see it. You will be. Just keep your shirt on. If you already have yours up, then feel free to do so. All right. Give it a second to load here. I'm going to go ahead and stop the share so that way I won't get into a whole debate. Maybe I can do it. Let's see. I'm going to say, you are a lawyer. Can you create a detailed outline of IRS Form 990-PF and describe what this form is used for. And I'm checking my spelling. I add that. Because sometimes I get a little ridiculous with the spelling here, but thank God for spell check. Put it in. And let's see if I get a response here. Okay. Something's happening. Something is happening. Don't worry. Once the results come up, I will share my screen. And here we have the results. And it's populating the results here. All right. Now that we have the results, now I'm going to share my screen so you can see the type of results that was generated from what we asked the AI. So let's go back into our mode here. We go to our viewer right here. We're now going to ask it to stop the share there and implement another share. And this share should be the entire screen. Now that you see my entire screen, let's go to ChatGPT. Here's our results. The question was, and I fumbled on it. I actually, matter of fact, let's clean it up. I'm going to copy this same question again. I forgot to say you are a lawyer because there's a reason why I want it to be a lawyer. I'm going to say you are a lawyer or a lawyer. Then I ask the question. Now you should be able to see it generated in real time. And there is a reason. Now, this particular form is one of the only forms. There's some other ones, but this is one that as trustees, compliance officers, you're able to use as a public income balance sheet. Let's talk about it. It says the IRS Form 990, officially titled Return of Private Foundation, or Section 4947, Section A, Section 1 of the Non-Exempt Charitable Trust treated as a private foundation, is an annual tax return form used by private foundations that are exempt from income tax. So this is a ledger that you would show that demonstrate that you are exempt from the taxable construct. Here are some general outlines of the form. They ask you for the identification of the applicant. This section includes basic information about the foundation, such as the name, address, employee identification number. It also asks for revenue, expenses, changes in net assets or fund balances. This section requires detailed financial information about the foundation's revenue and expenses for the year. It also includes balance sheets. This section requires information. You remember at the beginning of this course where Han was telling you there are 3 basic things that you got to keep in mind when dealing with the aspect of commerce, and that's dealing with the income statement, balance sheet, and discount cash flow models or cash flow models, where this form, as you can tell, and they give you kind of a pretty good outline, number 1 all the way to number 15, pretty much lets you utilize this form a lot of different ways. Now, how many of you guys actually knew before this demonstration that you can use this 990 form as a financing statement to show the books without it being used against you? How many of you guys knew that? Anybody in the class knew that? I'm going to stop the share because it's going to get a little cumbersome for some. How many guys knew that? Okay. With that being said, it is essential that you understand the roles that you play when acting as a civil law notary and also acting as a compliance officer in this construct. The information is designed to literally allow you to see what's directly in front of you when it comes to this level of intel. In yesterday's course, we covered a lot of the intricacies, in that. And as an added bonus in today's class, I'm going to give you a little bit of a recap from yesterday's class. So keep listening, because if you listen long enough, you definitely will learn something. So just bear with me while I bring that forward here. See if I can get into that apparatus here. I should be able to get into there. We're going to get into the apparatus. Let's now go into leveraging ChatGPT. And yeah, we're going to use that one. Okay, we got this understanding the difference between DTC and D. Power of financial correction. Let's try this one.
Understanding the difference between DTC and DTCC, an overview of Bill of Exchange. Introduction. In the world of finance and securities, it's crucial to grasp the distinctions between various entities and their roles. In this article, we'll explore the difference between the Depository Trust Company, DTC, and the Depository Trust Clearing Corporation, DTCC. Specifically, we'll focus on understanding the significance of a bill of exchange in relation to these institutions. The DTC and DTCC, clarifying the terminology. Before delving into the specifics, let's establish a clear understanding of the DTC and DTCC. The DTC refers to the Depository Trust Company, whereas the DTCC stands for the Depository Trust Clearing Corporation. These two entities play distinct roles in the financial system. The DTC is a depository trust company, while the DTCC functions as a repository clearing corporation. The DTC operates as a trust company, handling securities transactions and acting as a custodian for these assets. On the other hand, the DTCC acts as a clearing corporation, facilitating the settlement and clearing of transactions within the financial industry. Exploring the Bill of Exchange. To comprehend the relevance of the DTC and DTCC, we need to examine the concept of a bill of exchange. A bill of exchange serves as a vital document used in financial transactions. It outlines the terms and conditions of the exchange, providing a framework for transferring funds or securities between parties. Within the context of the DTC and DTCC, there are two distinct bills of exchange involved. One bill of exchange is utilized by the DTCC, while the other is employed by the DTC. Understanding the differences between these two bills is crucial for effectively navigating the financial landscape. Differentiating the bills of exchange. To distinguish between the DTCC's bill of exchange and the DTC's bill of exchange, we need to examine their respective characteristics. Let's take a closer look at each bill. DTCC's bill of exchange. When interacting with the Depository Trust Clearing Corporation, you'll primarily engage with the DTCC's bill of exchange. This instrument serves as a means of conveying assets within the DTCC system. It features specific elements that direct the routing and authorization of the transaction. In the specimen format of the DTCC's bill of exchange, you'll notice an authorization line stating tender repayment under Chapter 672 of the Florida Statute UCC. This line indicates that the instrument follows the guidelines outlined in the Florida statute, reflecting the utilization of the depository trust clearing system operated by the DTCC. DTC's bill of exchange. Conversely, the DTC's bill of exchange is the instrument employed when interacting with the depository trust company. While similar in purpose, this bill possesses distinct characteristics. Notably, the authorization line on this bill does not reference any specific statute but serves as a means of routing the instrument within the Court Registry Investment System, CRIS. When depositing funds into the CRIS, it's essential to utilize the DTC's bill of exchange, authored through the Court Registry Investment System. By doing so, you ensure that the transaction aligns with the legal framework and requirements established in your jurisdiction. Understanding the bill of exchange format. To effectively engage with bills of exchange, it's crucial to grasp their format and the information they contain. Let's examine some key aspects of the specimen bill. A bill of exchange does not typically display ABA routing numbers, as it does not rely on conventional banking systems for deposit. Instead, the bill of exchange may feature alternative tracking mechanisms such as barcodes or QR codes, requiring physical scanning for verification and processing. Additionally, the bill of exchange may include a unique specimen number and other relevant details to ensure proper endorsement and identification. The role of notaries and signature medallion guarantee. When dealing with bills of exchange, the endorsement process holds significance. One essential aspect of endorsement is the signature medallion guarantee. This special certification stamp ensures the authenticity of a signature and authorizes the transfer of securities. A signature medallion guarantee can only be provided by specific public officials, such as a notary. The notary's endorsement indicates that the transaction involves the transfer of securities, further emphasizing the private nature of the exchange. Understanding the significance of statutes and bills of exchange. Introduction. When engaging in financial transactions, it is crucial to understand the legal framework and instruments involved. In this article, we will explore the importance of statutes and bills of exchange in private conveyances. We will also discuss how different states have specific statutes and examine the structure and elements of a bill of exchange. The role of statutes in private conveyances. To ensure compliance and legal validity, private conveyances rely on specific statutes. These statutes provide the legal framework for transactions and determine the rules and regulations that govern them. It is essential to identify the relevant statutes in your jurisdiction when creating instruments such as bills of exchange. Tailoring the instrument to the state statute. Each state has its own set of statutes, and it is crucial to align your instrument with the applicable statute. For example, if you are in the state of Florida, your specimen instrument would reflect the relevant Florida statute. Similarly, if you are in a different state like Georgia, you would modify the instrument to comply with the corresponding statute in Georgia. Understanding the structure of a bill of exchange. A bill of exchange serves as a key document in financial transactions. It outlines the terms and conditions of the exchange and ensures clarity and accountability between parties involved. Let's examine the components typically found in a bill of exchange. Place of drawing. This specifies the city and state where the instrument is created. Tenor. The time frame within which the payment should be made or withdrawn, typically after 3 days. Payee. The individual or entity to whom the payment is to be made. Amount. The specified monetary value of the transaction. Drawee bank. The bank from which the funds will be withdrawn or transferred. Drawee bank account. The specific account from which the funds will be debited. Drawer. The person or entity who authorizes and issues the bill of exchange. Banker's acceptance. A statement indicating that the bill of exchange is a valid instrument without recourse.
Hopefully you guys learned something from that. Now, the next thing I'm going to show you is we're going to go back to Form 990 because there's some essential parts on the 990 if you are trustees and you're receiving arbitration that I'm going to bring your attention to. So just give me a minute while I cue this up. All right, so let's queue up the 990 once again, because these are going to, and these are not all the parts. Everybody's accounting is different. Everybody's scenario is different. So I simply, in this particular breakdown, I'm only highlighting ones that I think everybody is going to be interested in. Now, it's a whole lot more on this form than what I'm showing you, but these are like the key sections that I'm bringing your attention to. So you understand there should be something you should be entering something on this number, on these places. And again, if you got ChatGPT, you're going to break down what this form does, how it's to be used, and then this will make even more sense to you from that standpoint. But let's kind of go there for simplicity's sake. And remember, I give everybody a chance to definitely ask questions when I open up the Q&A. If you got questions, have your questions ready. If I don't get any questions, I'm perceiving that you just got this down pat, and we're just going over this just for educational purposes. So now let's bring up the share. And we're now going back into the master PDF proponent. And we're going to start with, and all the ones that I want to bring your attention to is the line that I've highlighted. Line number 11 is in the revenue section of the 990 PF, and it deals with other income. It tells you to attach a schedule. Now, this refers to everything from 1 to 11. You got contributions, gifts, grants, etc. Check if the foundation is not required to attach a Schedule B. Interest on savings and temporary cash investments, dividends, interest from securities, gross rent, net rental income or loss, net gross, blah, blah, blah. And if you don't see something very specific in 1 through 10, then you get to put other income on that line. And if you're looking all the way to the right and left of this form, it tells you to choose the accounting method, cash, accrual, and others. Notaries, what should you be putting in J? Press 9 on your keypad so I can bring you in. You should know the answer to that. What are you supposed to be entering in J on the 990 form? Press 9 on your keypad so I can bring you in and you can ask, let me know. What should you be entering on that line? Okay. Brother Bay, talk to me.
Accrual.
Okay. We got accrual. And that's definitely where you should at least start.
Mm-hmm.
What if you really want to nail them to the cross? Why don't you check other and put Cecil on there?
No, current expected credit loss provision on the other. Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Okay. All right. Good deal. Beautiful response. Beautiful response. All right. Now it's time for questions. If you got any questions of anything you've heard up until this point, press 9 on your keypad. I'll unmute you. You can ask your question. We can elaborate. We can deal of everything you've learned up until this point, and anything that you may have a question on that we covered in yesterday's 2 classes. All right. All right. Miss Fleming, there she is.
Greetings. How you doing?
We doing great. We're doing great.
Good. Whew. It's been a whirlwind of a week, y'all.
Oh, man.
I've been trying to catch class. I'm catching it on the fly. It's real crazy right now.
It's okay. It's okay. We keep the light on for you.
I appreciate that. Okay. So we should check other and put Cecil, correct?
Yes, that'll be like really transparent.
Now, let's say the foundation. Let's say the foundational trust owns the LLC.
Okay.
And the LLC received grant funds.
Right.
This is where I would document that, correct? Because the LLC is foundational trust.
Exactly. And keep in mind the LLC is already considered a disregarded entity. So using this form further substantiates, because see, you fill out this form to show them what you did without you being liable. This is why this is a very impactful form when you know how to properly engage with it. In other words, someone who doesn't know this, you're applying for something all willy-nilly, like, quote unquote, and they say, well, we need to see the last year's tax return, and you go pull those 1041s and all that other stuff, and then you start having to explain, well, what had happened was, when you pull out this 990, they're going to be like, well, we thought you was, listen how to watch the air get sucked out of the room. Well, we thought you was going to show us a 1041 and a 1040. It's like, no. See, I am exempt from all of that, so I'm only allowed to show you this form. See, there's the income. There's the revenue. So it's a very impactful form when used properly.
You really got to be moving like that, though, too.
Oh, don't just do not. Let's put the disclaimer out there. You don't need to. You need to be moving like what you putting on that paperwork. Don't just misconstrue what we're talking about as, man, I heard Mr. Bay said this, so I'm gonna just do it, and then you're gonna get done because they're gonna be like, wait a minute now. Because and let me explain. I'm gonna give you a real live scenario. I'm gonna take out the names to save the innocent. Someone heard what I just said, just like Brother Darnell, and they just thought they could just put the information on the form and all would be good. Now, again, if you're moving money from your personal to your checking, into your checking, into your business, into your business to your personal, that's commingling all over the place, right? And all these places are doing CTRs, and you're the only one that ain't got one. So you just fill out this form and thinking it's all good. Well, guess what happened? Now, I told them very specifically. I said, now, I don't know much about the space program, but what I do know with this accounting is that the very first thing on the new 2022 tax forms, before they even find out who you are, they're going to ask you, have you ever did anything with cryptocurrency? They're asked, these are setup questions. What do they say? Anything you say can and what will be used against you. All right, so if you mess around on the first part of that form, lying, thinking you're slick, and then putting numbers on the other form, and you ain't got no CTR to substantiate that, it's going to get ugly. And so what had happened was they heard the part that you can use this form. They didn't hear the part where you got to look, you got to operate the same way. You just can't put these numbers on there. They was not in trust. You know, so it's like one of those things where you need to do it and hope you never need it. But if somebody call up on it, you have it in your purse or your briefcase.
Right.
You don't want, you know, you're not in the business of showing 990s either. Don't get it twisted. Nobody's showing 990s unless, like, really, you got to be wilding in trust for them to even subpoena your trust minutes.
I was gonna say, yeah, you'd have to be really acting a fool. And
you got to be wilding. Like, you got to be really wilding for them to even try you like that.
But if they see you putting all of these pieces into place, you know, moment by moment, and then you file the 990 PF, then it all makes sense. It's
right.
You got somewhere.
Right. And you got to keep in mind, in trust, you get to make an initial return, and then you get to make at the end of the year a final return. So it's always subject to interpretation. Now, y'all might have didn't catch the wisdom in that. Let me explain that from a safe space. It's all about intent. So at the beginning of the year, you got all these folks, y'all shaking hands, y'all going to turkey dinner. We're going to do all this good stuff. That's the intention. And then life kicks in. Somebody run off with the project. Life comes in and kicks you in the teeth. So you do an initial return, and then you do a final return. And see, none of that information that you gave them is what? Used against you when you substantiate before you transact. Now, when you trying to catch it in mid-motion, or you done made 12 transactions, you trying to report one, okay, good luck with that. So it's understanding the intent in the maneuver. Any other questions? I think I got a couple of questions. Brother Hunter, you got a question for me, man?
Nah, Brother Bizzle, I was asking the question on Jay. I was trying to answer the question.
Okay, good deal. Okay. All right. Miss Fleming, you got another one for me? Got another question for me?
I did too. Dang it. It was regarding the UCC 5.
Yes.
So you make sure that your UCC 5-102 or -111 correlates with your
transaction.
With your transaction.
Right. Correct.
Okay.
This is where these AI tools are going to be worth their weight in gold.
Yeah.
We have, and I've launched a pilot landing page. We're going to have a full-blown Legal Jacks website notaries, I need your profile pictures because I'm like, I've had to just put the landing page up because I ain't got everybody's pictures so I can put up on the on there. But it's okay. But we have an AI tool that if you talk to the tool just like you're talking to me, it will take that and it will create a case syllabus. And if you prompt it, it'll give you solutions.
So is that what you were talking about yesterday when you said it's beautiful? It came out beautiful?
Right.
Right. You just audio and you...
Right. So it's like when you receive your syllabus, like I'm going to put a lot of different... I got like 20 or 30 different tasks for everybody that's going through arbitration, but I'm only releasing them in like batches of 5 because I want to get everybody coordinated. But when I start giving you your task, you're interacting with your AI.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I'm gonna go and reveal it. I'm kind of indirectly teaching you how to train your AI on what you finna do with your award.
That's not indirect. That's very direct.
Right. So when you get your syllabus, you got it in front of you, and you're already in the races. You already know what you need to do. Now, this syllabus, like Jarvis, I think he's already received his syllabus. Jarvis, you there with us, bro? Can you unmute yourself? You with us?
I'm here with you, Brother Denzel.
Tell him how many pages is your syllabus, Jarvis?
It's 79.
And it includes tax forms and everything, right?
Oh, yeah, multiple tax forms.
Got 1099-Cs in there?
Most definitely.
Got OIDs, CTRs, all that in there?
All that good stuff.
Okay.
So
you better be quiet.
So when you interact, you're training it so when you go live with what you're doing, you already have your front office and back office intact. And then I can tether Jarvis's syllabus to Monique's syllabus.
Mm-hmm.
You see where this is going?
I see it.
Okay.
And when you're talking about family office, that just makes it easy.
Very easy. Very, very, very easy. So for individuals that are not in the Diversity Trust Limited Bitrix space, you know, these trustees have paid the cost to be the boss, so to speak, and they have very specific information. So for those that aren't there, don't be afraid to reach out to Ms. Flemings and Mr. Bay, Mr. Hunter, because they got to keep their platforms going and they got to circumvent the energy. So it'll be to everyone's advantage to communicate. I mean, I'll just put it out there. They already are loan officers and notaries in the space. And they have a platform with an award that's live. Now, you can go outside the group and find somebody or deal directly with someone that's here, right here in front of you.
Speaking of which.
Yes.
Edith is on the line.
Beautiful.
Miss Edith, I will call you today because it is on my call list, my dear.
Definitely. So it's literally because a lot of folks need help. No one can do none of these processes without the assistance of a compliance officer / civil law notary. Let me put that out there. It is not recommended that anyone do anything without the express authority of a civil law notary who has at least gone through the 7 notary classes for arbitration. Now, that doesn't mean they got to have all the certs to help. It's just the more intel you have, there's more ways to bring forth solutions. Most of your solutions going to come off of what you call adverse adversarial presentments. Somebody in the public is going to say you did something or you didn't do something. And when you don't have this information, symmetrically, it throws you off kilter. You want to react. When you're in asymmetric information, oh, that's just an opportunity. Okay, now what happened? What didn't you get? Oh, okay. How much you say you need? Okay. I kind of use a scenario where if you are considered an entity that has to be licensed and insured to operate in the public, then you are operating under my presumption as a forensic accountant under generally accepted accounting principles. And if you are operating under generally accepted accounting principles, then you're mandated to receive a K-1. See how it got quiet?
Who said mandated to receive one?
Right.
Do repeat that?
Okay. As a compliance officer, you're engaging with an entity that calls themselves LLC ABC, and they got a tax ID 12-3456789. When you get into who they are and their ability to be bonded and insured, and that they're operating under generally accepted accounting principles, then they are mandated to receive K-1.
For payment.
Like, if they are taking everything but K-1s in front of you, that's like, that's like you, getting caught by your parents sneaking out the house. That ain't supposed to happen.
Flag on the play.
Right. Now, you can do that when a notary ain't around.
Right. That's when the notary is around. That's what I was just about to say.
Right.
A notary can protest that.
Right. Notary's like, wait a minute. You guys are mandated to receive K-1s. That's the whole reason why notaries are doing notary protests and presentments.
Ball. Flag on the play.
Right.
No penalty.
Like, we'll go here. Let's say they did it in the past. Well, okay, you didn't complete the transaction. So here's a K-1 so you can balance this with lawful legal money. Because right now, that transaction that you call cash got your books out of balance. Nobody gets away. Nobody gets away.
To be done from okay. Let me make the connection with this. So, and they all got to be now connect that with trust. We're doing this in trust because the notary just seeing the person let's just say anybody you saying this can take place in every transaction. Okay.
Remember, a notary who's witnessing commerce is not just a public notary. They are a civil law notary. And when they're acting in a civil law notary capacity, they're acting as a deputy secretary of state. And when these books are not balanced, it's the notary's job to assist with balancing the books by suggesting, here's the K-1 to balance that liability.
Right. And the K-1 to move value from trust.
A K-1 can move value from a general intangible to a general intangible. If a trust happens to be that vehicle, so be it.
So be it. Okay. So, okay. General intangible to general intangible. That's what that K-1 do. Okay.
That K-1 moves value from my book to your book.
That's the ledger transaction right there.
Exactly.
Got you.
So it's fundamental. This is why in yesterday's class we broke up the bills of exchanges as two distinctive styled bills of exchanges, because when you read the Unica Trail Convention, and I suggest you get that PDF. It's about maybe 20 pages.
Ooh, I got that.
You get that Unica Trail Convention PDF that deals with international bills of exchange. You run it inside of your Chat GPT, and you get real familiar with the code.
Yeah, okay. It's so many of these chat bots too.
Let me give you a secret. they're being created by the day because I'm starting to create my own too.
Okay.
So it's when you get to going, you don't worry, you'll be doing it by next week. Just keep. It's gonna be a different. It's gonna be a different conversation in about 2 more weeks.
Cause I noticed yours, man, got different voices and shit. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know how to make mine. Just got that. Just as regular. You know. I don't know how to make a talk.
Mine literally is listening to this class and it's already developing an algorithm to reteach it tomorrow.
Okay.
You guys don't even realize the class you just listened to was the one from yesterday. It just was remixed. That's all.
Dang. Okay.
You have to understand that this tech is a learning tool. It's a language model. And we are what? Word-controlled people. Master the use of words, and you've already got the battle already won. I'm going to show you how powerful words are. You can say certain words to certain people to make them love you. You can say some other stuff, people want to kill you. It's the power of words. It carries an energy. There are certain words that you can actually put on a document and speak, and it'll carry with it a certain energy and conveyance because of how it's worded. Symmetrically, you're taught to say, when you go to school and you learn math equations, you're taught symmetrically that 2 plus 2 equals 4. Can everybody agree that that's a fact? Is everybody willing to agree that 2 plus 2 equals 4?
Correct.
Yeah, we
okay. All right. Now, if we agree,
unless you counting the space in between.
Let me give you one that's even more to some asymmetric information. Remember, I said you can't prove anything; you can only disprove everything. So even 2 plus 2 can be disproved because if you write the word TO, write the word plus PLUS, then write TOO equals FOUR, is that a true statement?
Words.
Okay. Right.
Like 2 numbers only make another number, so it's still equal only 3.
Remember, we are word. If you don't define the words that are flying out of your mouth, then it can be disproved.
Gotcha. It got to be defined.
And it doesn't matter whether I say it from left to right or right to left. How you know you're saying something true is it no matter where I say it, one way or the other, it says the same thing. That's why you apply math. Math is universal. So your words that you use one direction has got to mean the same way the opposite direction. If it doesn't, you need to study because it may not be what you think it is.
It got to mean the same thing either way it goes.
Right. That's how you know you're dealing with something that's true.
But that's how negative averments work, right?
Negative averments is not the fact that you're making positive statements. Negative averment is making that averment fact. Like, in other words, you'll make a positive statement, and now you got the burden of proving it. And you can't prove anything when you ain't defining the words that's flying out your mouth. So a negative averment takes a position where you can't prove anything. So it'll say, I don't see no evidence in front of me that this, that, and the third is what you're talking about. Now listen to this. I don't see any information in front of me that substantiates that.
Right. Right, you can always disprove it.
Right. So that's the defense. You don't try to go and argue, but see, when we write, we want to always be right, and we want to argue. And like my mama told me, you keep on arguing. You think you know everything, Mr.
Right.
Bay. You're going to be right by yourself. Keep on arguing. You'll be right by yourself. Being right by yourself. I was like, you're right. You got to understand that the level of where we are intellectually. All right, watch this. Does the average person using ChatGPT think the ChatGPT is smarter than them?
Can't be. I mean, more probably.
Listen to this. Listen how I'm saying this. Do you think the average user of ChatGPT feels that
Right.
the dog is on the leash or they're being led by the dog?
They feel like they're being led by the dog. They like, but they mortgage smart.
Right.
But it only it gonna only go and get information off of what you know. It like it can't work without you, so it ain't smart.
But watch how easy this is for just because I'm in the space. It's real easy to get lazy and just let it do all the work.
Right.
It's not supposed to replace you. But here's a clue. If ChatGPT can do your job, you're in trouble.
You're in trouble, right.
I'll just put it out there. If I can create a bot that will do what you was doing,
right.
You need to go to trade school and learn something that ChatGPT can't do.
For real. Because he more write songs and everything, you know.
You ain't seen it. We just getting started.
I seen one write a song, right? It's a song that more like, and it will fly.
Yeah.
Fly. I said, yeah. He wrote a Valentine's Day song too. It was like a couple wrote a Valentine's Day song, but made a dude cry when he
right. The case in point is the tool is supposed to make your job easier, not put you out of a job.
Take your job, right? Because it can't operate itself.
Oh well, AutoGPT operates itself. I mean, like, I use AutoGPT to run functions that I don't want to do anymore. So it'll run by itself. I tell it to create me a podcast off of the content that we're getting out of class. I press a button and go get some coffee. I mean, I'm gonna go. I wasn't gonna tell nobody, but since we're having this conversation, they got AI cloning right now. Like, you ain't gonna be able to tell whether you talking to a person or not, because they're gonna have an AI that's gonna sound like me, talk like me, and move like me. I'm gonna be somewhere else.
It's still you on the line, ain't it?
I'm just saying. This is where we're at.
That's crazy, bro.
I mean, like,
robot the whole time.
You don't realize the wisdom in this conversation. Do you understand that the banks already are autonomous? You just don't know it. How many of you guys got Cash App?
Man.
Can you call Cash App and speak to customer service?
Never. Can't get nobody on the phone with no cash, yo.
Everybody using it.
Right, but it's going to automatically generate responses. You know what I'm saying? Based off of what you need, you know?
What you talking to then?
So
a chatbot, ain't it? You talking to the AI.
You talking to nothing but a bot, right? Yeah, all day. All of them are like that.
I don't know one that ain't.
All of them like that.
So what if everybody tomorrow had that same algorithm that Cash App had a few weeks ago, where you get triple bill from the last place you used it?
All right, and then the computer, then you just get a letter, a note, or a text saying this problem will be fixed soon.
Right.
We're working on it.
Right.
Oh well.
Right. I mean, I'll put it out there. There was a bounty for $1 million for someone to write a program to do that. I'll show you the bounty.
For somebody.
I mean,
program
yeah. The creative program that will, yeah. Well, let's back up, y'all. Where's the CEO? let's back up, y'all. Y'all missed the whole move with Cash App. What happened to the CEO of Cash App, man?
Oh, he ain't no more, man. Well,
Okay.
He look in the public, he ain't no more for what they told us. You feel me? But we get it.
Listen to what I'm saying, y'all. He went out on a business trip and got bumped off on the business trip. Why?
That's just like the billionaires in the little things submarine with the joystick. Why? Why are they doing it?
The founder and creator of crypto. What happened to him?
I don't even know who. What he even got started?
Huh? Okay. You'll figure it out. There's some wisdom in this conversation. You just got to listen to it. You'll get it. But case in point, hopefully you'll understand that you are in the allegory or paradigm where you can be the change you want to see. And large institutions are protecting their data sets, which means you're supposed to be protecting your data set. You should be able to take your intellectual property, convey it into an outline, deposit that outline into a platform, and be able to attach others to that value system. If you do tokenization, if I need 10 credits to balance my 15 debits, and you have that yin to my yang, when we connect on a smart contract, nothing moves, it's just tokenized.
Right.
But value actually moves because it's a symbiotic relationship. See, the computer systems are binary zeros and ones. This new algorithm is creating ones and twos.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Everything that moves value from my computer to your computer is zeros and ones.
All right.
The AI is ones and twos.
0, 1, 1, 2. That's the whole layout. 0, 1, 1, 2.
They have released a plugin called Code Interpreter on the paid version. You know, Code Interpreter lets you create a sandbox to move value from your ledger to my ledger. I'm going to say it.
Code Interpreter.
Code Interpreters are now a plugin on ChatGPT.
Oh, I see it right here. It say coding.
Right.
Oh man, that just popped up that other day.
Right. So if you want a code that will allow value from your ledger to go to someone else's, write the code.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to actually click coding, write a code, into the logical element you want to write a code about. Okay.
Code Interpreter lets you write code, it creates code, it tests codes. And those of us that write codes, in my community, a lot of people feel a certain type way about that plugin.
Mm-hmm.
Fortunately for me, I do other things besides coding. But I'm endorsing it because it makes what we do easy. Any other questions? I'm looking for specific questions or detailed questions. If you got your ChatGPT armed, it will be to your advantage to use it while you have the opportunity. Anything over what we've covered up until this point? Compliance officer training, monetizing instruments. I need your input.
You write that too fast.
What's that?
Well, the code for ledger to ledger
Right.
transaction. I mean, that was fast.
It's not a difficult code. You just got to have a sandbox to put it in. And if you got if you run in Python, there you go. all of us on Linux are on Python. Windows and Mac, you got to install Python.
Okay, so now with these codes, you put them in. You program a computer, or
you have a virtual. Now we're getting into syntactical trust. You create a. I give it to you. Ask the questions. I'm obliged to give you the answer. So you take if you have that code, you're going to need a virtual box.
A virtual box. And when you say a virtual box, this is basically what? Like
that's a program that computers are able to use to run different programs. Like a virtual box will let me run on my Linux. I can run Mac on a virtual box. I can run Linux on my Mac. It's a virtual environment that allows us to test programs. So that's what you're gonna run this in.
And these are created where? How do you get this? Like, is it a computer? What is it in its form? What is it?
Say that again.
What is it? Is it a computer or a chip, a card, or what is it?
It's an environment. It's a computer-generated environment that actually takes your computer and it puts it into a smaller environment. So let me explain VirtualBox to you. A VirtualBox is a program that simulates another computer. So it creates a program where if you're on your Mac and you want to run Windows, you go create a VirtualBox and it'll run Windows because it's only going to run it. That's a VirtualBox.
It's feeling like an app.
Right. It's an application.
Okay. Got you. So you would need an app to put this code into.
You would just like how you created the code, you would write a code to develop your VirtualBox to run that code.
Okay.
There's a script for that. That's if you create a script.
Okay.
Some CPUs have the ability to run VirtualBoxes in different windows.
Oh. Okay. So you take these scripts and we put them in those box. What you call it?
Right. You create a virtual environment. You run your code. Once your code comes back bug free, that means it's an authentic code and it runs and it works. Now you deploy that script. Now when you deploy it, you're able to send value from one access point to another access point. But now we're getting into computer variables. So you're going to literally have to take a crash course on what to do, but you can learn it in about 5-10 minutes if you're really serious. If you really want to do it, it ain't going to take but 10 minutes.
Right. It's really just need the information.
But that's a different lesson in that aspect, because what we're talking about in terms of value is simply think about a spreadsheet. Okay? Close your eyes and envision a spreadsheet.
Okay.
Now, the only difference between the spreadsheet in your mind and the spreadsheet that's at Bank of America is that the one in Bank of America runs this thing called macro. And macro contains your formulas.
Okay.
So if you write a code that can take what you have in your head and convert it to macro and get it on a spreadsheet, then all you now got to do is create a spreadsheet with the macro and create another one to receive that data. And then it's an import-export scenario. You're just moving value from my computer to your computer. Now, I'm going to take a different algorithm and describing this a different way.
So when you say value, you're really saying data.
Data. Metadata. Credits, debits, numbers, account numbers.
Okay. See, I've been looking at that shit really wrong.
Right.
When you say it like that, it's like, okay, it's not what how I've been looking at all this damn time. I ain't gonna lie.
Like, remember, the banking system is nothing more than a landing page that's in read only. You can't add no value to that screen. You can just look at it. That's it. It's a website with a landing page. That's it.
Landing.
You get to see. All you get to do is look at it. You're window shopping.
So it's data, value, the same thing.
It's the same. The system. I'm gonna try to make it like a 3-year-old almost. Let's try it this way. The only difference between what Bank of America has in their office and what you got in front of you right now is macro instructions. And they just released Code Interpreter that writes macro instructions. This is why they took the Chat GPT off of Bing and just brought it back a few days ago, because someone used a macro to go behind the paywall and get stuff without having to pay for it.
So macro is okay. This is where all the data is held.
It automates your spreadsheet. Like, your macro instructions is like recording. Like, if I put something in field number 1, and then I give it an instruction that if I put it in field number 1 in a different spreadsheet workbook, it's going to show up on field number 70. And so I'm going to call field number 1 credit, and I'm going to call field number 2 debits. So when I put $100 on 1, it's going to show negative 170. Now when I give it that command, I'm going to hit record. Macro is the recording of that action, and then once it records it like a music track, it's on a loop. It automates it. So when I say run, it's going to what? Put 70 as a debit, put 70 as a credit.
Okay, look, let me show you what she just put up, right? This is what I put in now.
Mm-hmm.
I put in, write me a code for macro instruction program, right? It said, in this code, we define a macro called max.
Right.
Which takes 2 arguments, A
right.
and B. The macro expands to an expression that returns the maximum value between A and B.
Right.
It says in the main function, we declare 2 variables, X and Y, and assign them values.
Right.
Use the macro instructions to find the maximum value between these 2 variables and store it in another variable called max.
Right.
Then say finally we print out the results. Okay.
Right.
So, okay, it's math.
That's all it is math. It's just the AI is an 8-year-old. It is a very sophisticated 8-year-old.
That'll just tell you whatever.
You just got to give it instructions, and you got to be careful of the instruction, because when you say how to kill Superman, the 8-year-old is going to tell you how to kill Superman.
Right.
An 8-year-old has a different sense of perception than an adult.
Adult, right.
I'll go here. For kids that are my grandchildren's age, they're using Chat GPT to hack TK basketball games and stuff like that, and how to, that's what they're using it for, stuff like that.
They used to do what?
If you're in the video game and you playing the new TK basketball game, TK23, they're using Chat GPT to hack that.
Oh shit.
Like you can build a chat that'll actually go online with your account. It ain't you, but it looks like you, and it's playing like you, but it ain't you. And these places, they play for money. So they create chats to play for money. That's what the kids are doing.
Oh shit! So that motherfucker will not miss a three. That motherfucker gonna be flawless on that court.
That's how they're using the tool.
Okay, so I'm saying though, you get this to link with other stuff though? Cause like, okay, ChatGPT one thing, but then
it's a chat bot. It hooks through web hooks, and now like I said, we're getting into a high-end conversation of computer analytics. Okay. Think about it like this. And now that we're talking about it, your concepts of computers was way off than what it really is. So keep in mind, what people really think is happening ain't happening. It's really happening way over here. And as long as everybody else thinks it's happening way over there, no harm, no foul.
Right.
It's just when you get on this side of the equation, you got a different mission. If you got a laptop in your bedroom and you got a desktop in your living room, and if you can figure out, this is a homework assignment, because if you can do this, then doing Bank in the Box is easy. If you can figure out, I got a document on my laptop upstairs, and I need to be able to use my computer in my bedroom to access the document in that other computer. That ain't a hard equation to solve. But if you can problem solve that equation, how do you retrieve a document out of one computer from another? Then that's banking in the box. You got it all the way but 1%. The other 1% is documentation. I'm going to give you very specific actions after you figure that trouble.
Hold on, but that's just
Listen to how I'm finna say this. Both of your computers are online.
Okay.
But you got a document that's stored on one computer that you want to access by another computer. How would you do that? There's a lot of different ways of doing that. So all I need is just when you develop one fail-safe way of doing it, now you're going to start building macro from that one way.
Okay.
That's the best way for me to explain it.
Right. There's millions of ways of doing that. You just have to.
Right. You just decide based upon your internet speed, your situation, what you want to do, how you want to retrieve that doc.
Right. That can go any type of way.
So let's apply that in real time in banking. In banking, in order for you to use that security tonight, it's got to be able to be made liquid 18 months from today. So as long as you got a security that can be made liquid, meaning that it's in an M3 format now, and it can be converted to an M2 and M1 18 months from now. As long as that equation is true, that situation can be insured before you do it and reinsured after you do it. And if all that exists, you now have created a smart contract.
Okay. I followed you right all while you were saying it, but you got okay.
So you apply, how do I access the file out of my laptop from my desktop, develop that path, and then run that same chain of thought into the real world scenario. Because it's the exact same scenario, because it's all files. It's all data. It's the same thing.
You just need a software. You just need a code to do what you.
Yeah, right. It's data. Just call it what it is. It's a file. That's all it is. It's a file.
Okay.
We're putting too many other names to it, and we're getting all warm and fuzzy because it's a file, but because it's in Bank of America's computer, it's money, and because Bank of America's computer has codexes for Visa, MasterCard, and Discover. See, we're getting excited about all that, and all this is what? Files. That's it. That's it. It's data. That's it. Let's make it simple. If you can figure out tonight how to make your laptop talk to your desktop, then you ready to do this thing. That's the homework. That's the assignment.
Okay. I'm on it.
Because if you keep it in this format, you won't get confused. You will see the symmetric and asymmetric information stand up on its head. Because it's what you're calling the data. See, as computer developers, we just see data. We don't care what it says and what it is, whether it's pictures, language, it's data. Our job is to be able to access this data just like how I'm explaining it. How can I access this data from my laptop, my desktop, my phone, or without a computer? Because, yes, there's a way to access the data without a computer. But we're going to start with the easy stuff. Figure out how to retrieve your doc with a different computer. That's what I'll leave you with in this class.
Okay.
Because learning that concept, now you're ready to start inundating, because we're going to keep it real simple like a 3-year-old. It's just data. Before we jump off, anybody got any other questions for me? Didn't mean to go into a whole computer lesson, but it's okay. Any other questions? Feel free to press 9 on your keypad. I'll bring you on. I'll answer your question while you have me. Any other questions, comments, or concerns over anything you have heard up until this point? Okay, we got one. Beautiful, beautiful. I think this brother Antoine. Can you hear me, big bro?
How you doing, brother?
All right, all right, all right. Talk to me, talk to me.
My question is, when they're asking for the last 2 years tax returns, the K-1 can serve in that capacity?
Correct.
That's what I wanted to know.
All right.
We're not operating on their algorithm, so yeah, okay. And every corporation is mandated to be able to accept the K-1.
Correct.
Question answered. Appreciate it.
All righty, big bro. All right, all right. Any other questions, comments, or concerns? Miss Fleming, you got another question for me?
Yes, I do.
All right, all right.
The challenge is to do this without the cloud, right?
Right. If you can figure out in your head and systematically do it and run it in real time and have the results, bring that to class, and then when I explain to you Banking in the Box, it's going to blow your mind, because if you can do this now, moving value from your ledger to anyone else's ledger is just that simple.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
This is crazy, man, that you even know this. I'm looking at this stuff, bro, and you right. I'm looking. You right.
Yeah, it's right there. It's right there.
Damn.
That's all it is. Man, you guys do not understand. I can't wait for all you guys to be in this new platform. And we got new students that are coming along. And, again, appreciate the new students for being in this particular course today. Look, hopefully everything that you have listened in this particular broadcast and our class was helpful. If you need more exclusive content, feel free to reach out to me because, yes, we have a Bitrick space that's called WTDTA Radio. This is where everything that we broadcast, teach, and profess is located. For more details on how to get into that space, reach out to me. You know how to get at me, by Bitrix, by text. Reach out to me. We'll give you an invite to get into that, and we'll take off, make it do what it do. Right now, we got to get ready for our next course. Got a lot of stuff we got to get in the rotation inside of our WTDTA Radio Caster.fm. Anything that you want to learn a little bit more about, didn't get a chance to ask in class, I will be in the office until about 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. With that, I'm going to say peace and love, family. Appreciate everybody's energy, and hopefully you guys learned something. Peace and love, family. Peace and love.